little bit about our senior class.
Yeah, no, certainly first want to start off by saying, appreciate you guys covering our team the whole season. The job you guys do covering us and coming to practice and all those things, makes a big difference. And I think we just want to let you know we appreciate that and, appreciate all your support and the good, the bad, and the ugly. We all understand. So, obviously Miami wasn't our best game. Special teams really played a big part in that game. Wasn't able to change the field position. Kind of hurt us at times. And then obviously the third down situation on offense, we wasn't able to convert and kind of put ourselves behind the eight ball. So our players played hard. We got to execute better. We still have a long ways to go as far as getting guys, improved, and we're doing that. But it hasn't happened as quickly as we'd liked with some of the guys that are playing at the moment. So, got a good opportunity for some extended time here to get some development work with some guys in the program, guys that are playing, to get them more game experience. I was thinking yesterday, I'm not sure how many reps Nevin Cremascoli got in training camp. The first 2 days we split the practices and he was able to get some reps, but I couldn't tell you if he had more than 5 reps the whole training camp. But obviously he's a guy that's come in here and did a nice job on the scout team going against the defense, and he continues to get better. But that's been our story. It's not the injuries, it's the guys that are thrown into roles that, it takes time to get that experience. Another guy I thought about yesterday, I saw J.J. Lippy walking in the hall, and he said, "I finally played well." And what he meant, it was interesting. I was just thinking about how he said it. Last year, he started at left guard for us the whole season, played phenomenal. This season, he started the season, then missed some time with an illness, missed about a month of the season, then came back and played every spot on the offensive line. Well, anybody that knows offensive line play understands you don't practice every spot in practice. You practice the one position that you play. And he finally was in a spot. Obviously, he replaced Logan Shernis last week, who's out, and he went to right guard, and he got comfortable and said, I finally had a good game because I was comfortable playing in one position. And I think that's kind of the story of our season. Obviously, there were injuries. That's a part of the game. But when you thrusting guys into roles that maybe they haven't had the proper amount of reps, it takes time to develop. But been pleased with the effort, been pleased with the competitiveness. We have to fight to play cleaner to give ourselves a chance to go win this last game. Akron is obviously, their record is their record, but when you watch them on tape, they do some good things on offense. They play hard, they play physical, and Coach Moorhead is in the process of building that program up. So, I know they got a game to play, it's been postponed or whatever, but we'll be prepared to play on Saturday morning and give our best effort for the seniors. We got seniors in our program that's played a lot of football, got some guys that will be graduating as well, that would go through senior day, and I think it's important that we go out there and give our best effort to give those guys a chance to win their last game. 50% of the teams are going to be 1-0 the final weekend, and we want to be on the positive side of that.
What did you see about the special teams that just wasn't working, and especially in the field position part of it? How much did Cole not being out there kind of play into that?
No, that made a big difference. I think with the punt returner, they mishit a couple punts, and then the ball rolled. Then we tried to make an adjustment, and we moved up, and then he bombed one, and it rolled down to about the 3-yard line. So it was just, a new guy out there returning all season. And I know Cole hasn't had a lot of returns, but his value of catching a football and saving field position is big. And we used Dane at the beginning. He had his freshman moment or whatever. He'll grow from that, and then obviously Casper. But we have to be able to, field the ball, don't let it bounce where we get backed up. And then conversely, on offense, we were backed up. Normally when you backed up, the goal is to try to get at least 2 first downs so you can try to flip the field position, and we were never quite able to do it. And then as far as our punting, only time people notice you is when you don't do your job, and that's unfortunate because Isaac Hatfield has had a tremendous season all year. We haven't had any issues with the punting, but obviously there was snow on the ground. The ball was heavier than what it normally is because of the wetness, and I think that played a part in his psyche, and I think that got to him a little bit. And we had an errant snap, and then the next time we dropped a snap. But those Isaac Hatfield, Tom Foley have done a phenomenal job all season. Just this past game, the elements and the weather, it played a factor in them not going out there and executing the way they've executed the whole year. But I couldn't be more proud of those guys. We lost our long snapper from last year. We lost our punter from last year. And Hatfield and Foley went out there and played tremendously in their first real action of game experience. So one game will not define them, and I know they will respond the right way this week.
Coach, you mentioned with Nevin that, in camp he was really just only in for a couple of reps. But from the time you got him on campus as a freshman this year till now you've seen him play in about 4 or 5 games, where would you say he's grown the most as a quarterback? Yeah,
his poise. I mean, he has tremendous poise. He don't get flustered. The thing that's interesting is, in Central Michigan, he got injured, and he's been dealing with that for the last 3 weeks. But, he's been out there attacking it as hard as he can tackle it, which is rare for a freshman. Most guys get injured and they sit out. This guy gets injured, and he's going to get in there and be diligent with the treatment, and he's going to go out there and fight his tail off for the team. His command of the offense, his command of the huddle, getting us in and out. He has a rhythm about him when he's calling plays and getting guys lined up that would never stress with the clock. Normally with a young quarterback, you may have to use 2 or 3 timeouts because we're in the wrong formation. Or this guy has a rhythm about him. He has a poise about him. He has awareness. His best ball of the night was dropped. But he will continue to grow as a player. He's not where he needs to be. I'm sure he's not where he wants to be, but he will continue to grow. And it's exciting to see a young guy make those type of strides. I'm sure at some point he's going to be knocking on my door about a scholarship, which rightfully so. Guys went out there and played his butt off.
And then do you think moving forward, obviously they've mentioned that we have the chance to get Rocky back here for another season. Do you think like a year under Rocky, kind of seeing what he's doing and how he commands the huddle and all that will be kind of beneficial for when he gets his way back into the lineup?
No, I think it's beneficial for all those guys. To me, you look at it, we should have more depth going into next season at the quarterback position with Rocky, with Ethan, with Nevin, with Justin. All those guys have played and have game experience now, whereas this year we went into the season with just Rocky and Ethan played in 1 game. So the depth and the experience should be greatly. You got 4 guys that's played and have experience, and that makes a big difference going into the season because there may be an injury next year, but at least now it's not it doesn't become a catastrophe, and guys can go out there and execute what we need them to execute.
Is it one of those situations, I know it's kind of still relatively new with the transfer portal and everything, only over the last, whatever, it's been 5 or 6 years. You mentioned all these guys with all these playing time, and it's not the only position like that for you. How do you, I guess, you mentioned it before, like recruit every week sort of thing.
Yep.
How important is that for you guys and to make sure that everyone's happy and all that experience is back next year?
No, I think, obviously you got to continue to recruit your own team with the understanding that there are going to be guys that want to go somewhere and play. And you shake their hand and wish them nothing but the best. That's part of the process. I mean, this college football has obviously dramatically changed, with recruiting and how recruiting is done. And so, we obviously have a core group of guys that we want and really need. And if there's some guys that, hey, want an opportunity just to play more, we fully understand that. And so, our philosophy is to understand that that's a part of it. So we're going to, work to fill holes before they become holes, if that makes sense. So we're very aggressive in the recruiting process with, what we need to do to improve our football team. And now college football is going to be year to year. What are the things that you need to do to improve your team for that season? And those are the things that we're working at.
Not to get too far ahead, but are there any positions, because you have done so well in the transfer portal over the last few seasons, that you may think that you need to attack in the portal?
Well, my first mindset is always to recruit high school student athletes first. And the unfortunate part about the transfer portal is a lot of kids in high school are getting overlooked because colleges are waiting for guys to go into the portal. And so there's a great opportunity for us to continue to recruit and develop high school talent and get guys in our program and get guys to walk on and guys can earn scholarships. I mean, we've had a lot of guys come here as walk on and earn scholarships. I mean, Devontae O'Malley may be one of the better defensive linemen in this conference. Started as a walk on. So our philosophy will always be ingrained with the high school student athlete in developing those players, with the mindset of if there are certain positions that we need to help improve or get a little better in the short term, we will certainly look at those options.
You mentioned the third downs. Because you look offensive in the end, with 370 yards of offense, but 0 for 9 on third downs. Just what did you see that wasn't there on third down? Or was there like a through line that just wasn't working that maybe was?
No, we had about 3 or 4 third down that was maybe inches short. Shamar caught the ball. It was 3rd and 15. He caught it at 14 and didn't. You got to go vertical and try to split it. Then we had a couple runs that just fell inches short. I mean, so we got to execute better. We got to stay in more manageable situations. We have to eliminate penalties and early downs. I think that played a part in it as well. But we got to execute early in the game, early on 1st and 2nd down to make sure third downs are minimal.
Coach, when you look at this group of seniors that we're going to be saying goodbye to next Saturday, a lot of these guys, have been with you for the last 4 years. What would you say sticks out most about this senior class in comparison to years past?
Well, I just think their perseverance, their resiliency. Obviously this season didn't go the way we wanted, but every day they came to work. And to me, I know people could be mad and upset and all those things, but our job is to develop men. When they leave our program, are they developed to go into the real world? And it's going to be 12 guys that's going to play their last game on Saturday, and they have to go out into the real world and say, what are you going to do? How are you going to respond? And I think they're prepared to do that. I mean, we want to win. We're competitive just like everybody else. It didn't go that way, but how you handle adversity determines who you are as a man and who you are as a person. And I couldn't be more proud of the way those guys have handled this season, how they've handled their business, showing up every day and putting the same amount of work in. I think that'll go a long way for their lives, and they can come back in 5 years and say, you know what, I appreciate what you've done and how you helped me attack things every day to be prepared for life. And that's what it's about. I mean, if you don't make a difference as a coach, and the only thing that matters is wins and losses, then you're failing the young men in the program. And I never want to fail young men in our program, because when you recruit them, you talk to their families, the first thing you tell their families is, I'm going to help you develop as a person, okay? That's the first thing I say to parents. And we hold them to it. We hold them accountable. We make sure they go to class. We make sure they go to study table. We make sure where they're supposed to be on time. Those things matter. And so the seniors this year have done a phenomenal job of keeping it going. I told them, if we're fortunate enough to do great things next year, I'm going to take care of them on the way back.
No weddings, though,
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. They too young for all that.
Coach, just one question I had was just trying to look, looking more on the bright side, that the fact that so many people have played, like you talked about the quarterback position, but you could actually go through like every position on our team and just say, we're going to have a lot of guys back that have played quite a bit of football already.
No, it's, I'm excited internally, right? Obviously not excited about the results, but excited about the depth, the amount of guys that's played, that got experience, that's coming. We were still a young team this year, but now we're going to be more experienced and with more depth. And I think that's only going to help us. I mean, the goal is to build a program for the long term. And I think these guys in the program, I think our defensive line a year from now may be one of the best ones in this conference. I think we got some linebackers that have, went out there and showed what they're about. And I think we got some young DBs that's going to play well. And obviously offensively, getting guys back. Our offensive line is coming back, the majority of them. Getting our quarterbacks back, getting our running backs back. Get some injured guys back on offense and add some guys, some new pieces. I mean, we got a chance to be really, really good, but we got to have a great offseason. But, we want to go out there and go win this game, and then we can talk about all those things, as we continue to move forward.
Coach, I know you guys do a lot of fun stuff throughout the season, and I'm sure you'll have them practicing outside this week one final time before you send them off, but do you have anything special planned for the seniors in practice?
No, we're going to let them speak to the team. I think that's important, when you're a senior to have a chance to talk about your experience and give knowledge to the younger players. That's what it's all about. Back in the day, we used to do a senior hit day, where they put a launch pad out there and you get to choose somebody to hit. And funny story, Coach Novak, he forgot to push the guy. Normally, you push the guy out the way, and then you put a pop-up dummy. I don't know if you want me to tell a story, but he forgot to push the kid out the way, and the kid got smoked, onto the launch pad. But normally, so everybody knows on senior hit day, we don't actually hit the young players. Yeah. You stand there, they push you out the way, and then they bring up a pop-up dummy. But I think, Coach Novak, he forgot to push the kid. That's just a funny story from senior. But, to have those guys talk to the team is important. And to share about their experiences and what they've learned and how they've grown in the program, I think is beneficial to the rest of the players.
Are the seniors the ones being hit, or are the seniors the ones?
No, normally it was the senior. He say, "Hey, Eddie, I want to hit you," and then you stand in front of the pop-up dummy. And normally, once the first guy goes, Coach Novak used to push him out the way. But I don't know, he just forgot or he wasn't close enough to the kid, and the young man got smoked. But normally the first kid, you push him out the way, then they put a pop-up dummy, they hit the dummy, they say a couple words. It was just a nice little tradition that, I'm sure Coach Novak got that from, every other place that he's been, but it was always a good tradition.
One final one, Coach, obviously with the season ending Saturday, when's your first plane ticket out of here to start recruiting?
Yeah, no, I think the NCAA has made it quiet that first 4 days after Thanksgiving because of the transfer portal and having conversations with people in your program. So my first flight will be that Thursday the following week. So got a lot of kids to go see in a short amount of time.
All right, anything else for Coach Hammock? All right, thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Happy holidays.
players portion of today's press conference. We have linebacker Kyle Pugh, wide receiver Casper Witkowitz, and we'll take questions for these gentlemen.
We'll start with Kyle. I think the elephant in the room. Last game here this weekend at Husky Stadium, you've had a great career here. You got 3 degrees, but what are you going to miss the most about, suiting up here in the red and black for the Huskies?
Probably the locker room. Yeah, just being around the guys, just having those conversations, goofing around with the boys.
What's this one like for you? I mean, there's been so many preseasons going in, where you're like, okay, this is my last year, and then it's not your last year.
Yeah.
What's it like now, having your actual last game and knowing that you're going out there before the actual last time?
It's bittersweet for sure. I've had a lot of fun here. Met a lot of great people. But it's time. I've been here long enough, and I'm ready to see what's next. So.
Casper, as one of the future old guys in the room, has Kyle passed on any of his wisdom to you as, you're going to be one of the older guys in the room next season?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Kyle's one of the staple guys here at NIU, so, I've looked up to him to see how I can lead this team further. Yeah, if I can be anything like him as a leader, then I'll be good.
And then Coach talked about a lot of the returning production. You'll be part of that, but I know we still have one more game against Akron, but what have you seen from the younger players that has you excited to get those guys back in a bigger role for next season?
I think how fast they were able to develop and how quickly they were able to adjust to the college game. Nevin, for example, he's played 3 games now, started 3 games. And the leaps he's taken every game it's nothing short of incredible. So I look forward to just seeing them develop more and being a big part of this team.
Casper, offensively for you guys last week, there were a ton of yards, like 370 yards, but that 0 for 9 on 3rd downs obviously kind of sticks out. Just what did you see that just wasn't there for you guys on those 3rd down plays that maybe was other?
We had the right calls. It just all comes down to execution, and I think that's we were executing fine. And on 3rd down, that's where we weren't very well, very very good. So going into this week, that's going to be a big emphasis on 3rd down, and you need those downs to keep sustain an offensive drive. So.
Kyle, for you, I know the result didn't go our way on Wednesday, but does having your final 2 games as a Husky at home mean a lot more than maybe traveling to one of these other cities on a bus?
Yeah, no doubt. This is where I've spent the most time, and to go out, being able to kind of, in a sense, just walk off the field where I started. It means a lot to me.
Will you have a lot of family making the way out here? Because I know you're from the Chicago area, so it's not too far.
Yeah, everybody will be here. Yeah.
Everybody will be on the field,
Yeah.
walking out?
Yep. It'll be a group of
We
us.
might need to widen the tunnel.
Right?
Casper, for you though, offensively, it's been a wild season, but the production from you has continued to stay the same. You had another touchdown last week. That was very important to start the second half. But as the offense has kind of changed and you've seen different players, what do you think as far as the character and the identity that the offense has had throughout this season, obviously with all the adversity that you've had to face?
I would say we're really gritty. We're a gritty team. We don't back down. We've obviously had a pretty cursed year with injuries, and but no one's ever flinched. It's next guy's up, and we've done a good job executing for the most part, and we'll continue to do that.
And then I know, the season got a little bit away of us, so not being able to go to a bowl game or have a chance to go to Detroit, but how much would it mean, to get that guy a win, or get that guy next to you a win on his last game here, and the rest of the guys too, because there's about 10 or 11 guys here on the list for senior day.
Right. For me personally, that's number one, is sending these guys out with a win. And they've done so much for this program. All those guys have been here a long time, and I know how important it is to them for them to win this game. So I'm gonna do whatever I can. We're gonna get them this win. That's for sure.
Kyle, how have you seen the defense progress throughout this season, just in terms of what you guys have been able to do from the start to these last 3 or 4 games?
I think I've seen the defense kind of find its identity. The first couple of games we were kind of, establishing a relationship with the new DC and everything. Everybody was kind of getting used to the play call schemes and everything like that. But as the season kind of went on, guys kind of fell into the right role. And I think everybody's kind of just start clicking, and so it worked out in that way.
When did you see it kind of start clicking? Was it more like Eastern Michigan or somewhere in that?
Yeah, Eastern Michigan was kind of like the light bulb for the defense as a whole, where we were like, okay, now we're kind of on to something here. So that was the game where I think obviously we knew we had the right guys, in the room and stuff like that, but the scheme was Eastern Michigan is like, okay, the scheme is right, the guys are right, like we can really do something here.
How much of that, Kyle, has to do with players like Michael Kennedy and Isaiah Green, maybe we're also going to be honored on Saturday,
Mhm.
what those guys and the defensive line as a whole, what they've been able to do getting in the backfield, just for the defensive job, but also for your role as a linebacker, knowing that those guys can be in the backfield, how does that change your play staff and staff? It's a good problem to have in a sense, because we really don't have like a 1 and 2 on the depth chart, because we have so many talented guys. So we had to create new packages, to utilize guys the right way. And so, it's crazy. You can't really justify having like a guy like Mike Kennedy, on the sideline. So you got to find somewhere to put him. It's a great problem to have.
Kyle, last season, we saw you in a new role. Obviously, you weren't able to play last season because of an injury, but you were more or less like a GA and a coach on the sideline. Now, I know Saturday is definitely not the last time to see you at home. But when you're done playing football for good, do you think you'll go into coaching?
It's an option for me. Lately, I've been really getting more passionate about the psychology of like sports injury. Maybe I was thinking about maybe being like a sports psychologist consultant, not really a full-time psychologist, but just working with athletes on the mental rehab. It's very important. I think it's overlooked.
Kyle, you talked about some of your favorite moments in the locker room, but what are your favorite memories of on-field accomplishments?
All the big games, really. MAC championships, getting wins at places like Nebraska. Those games you never forget.
And then Kyle, maybe a word of advice or a statement to somebody, not anyone in specific, but people that are dealing with adversity or injuries throughout their career, but to be able to see what you've been able to do with that adversity, it's pretty inspiring. So I'm sure it would be the same for some of those guys as well.
Mm-hmm. One thing I would tell, anybody dealing with life in general, is don't hold it in. Find somebody knowledgeable, find somebody trustworthy that you can talk to, and just pick their brain, even if it's just to vent, get some stuff off of your chest or whatever the case may be, because we're all going through stuff, and no one has to go through, this journey alone. So find somebody, whether it be a teammate, a coach, a brother. I call my mom every day. So, it doesn't really matter who it is. Just go find somebody to talk to.
That seems like a good way to wrap things up if you guys don't have anything else.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys
Yeah.
very